Good afternoon or good morning. Let's start first couple of minutes with that front page. I want to focus on the company's philosophy. It's relevant to certainly the company's direction and the approach we take in the business. This is an industrial minerals company. Its principal resource is graphite. It's not just a graphite company selling graphite concentrate, or indeed providing graphite as some raw or feedstock into some process. This is important for a couple of reasons. Firstly, our focus is not to build a resource or reserves that are 1,000 times annual global demand for natural flake. Okay. We consider this to be a misallocation of shareholders' capital. Secondly, the technical or product development parts of our business and marketing are critical. It's where most of the activity, quite frankly, has been focused. So, an industrial minerals company. Product marketing is very, very important, and this is reflected in a couple of and relevant when looking at the company. First is we have a board that is technically very strong, globally recognised people in minerals processing, metallurgy, and global trading. The other thing I'd say by way of introduction is, when looking at quantum and comparing other graphite companies, there's no question, we fill a unique spot. Quantum is not here to fill an emerging market dominated by a processing giant. I'm referring to electric vehicles and the processing capability of a number of Chinese companies. That is certainly a market, but the other markets are important to us and represent opportunities for downstream participation. The first is high-end refractory, where the company has formed over decades, and the second is thermal energy storage products, which I'll come to. So I thought I'd just start with that to set the scene. Next slide, please. Quantum's tenements include 2 mining leases, 2 retention leases, and a very large exploration lease. If you look at the cutout of the resource map, you will see that the mining leases are in that top orange rectangle. It's quite small. This is clearly a huge ore body that extends some 12 kilometres from Yulee all the way down to Fishery, which is Sleaford Bay. The company is fully permitted. Its project is fully permitted. The company has previously pre-qualified with all the major European and North Asian manufacturers in refractory or high-end refractory products. Obviously, we have history in that area, and of course, the other unique feature of the company is its arrangement with Sunlands, which is a leading thermal energy storage technology. This technology is for long duration storage, and I'll talk some more about that later in the presentation. Next slide, please. The Yulee 2 project consists of a pit immediately to the south of the old Yulee 1 pit. This pit has a mine life of approximately 12 years, and that's the first stage only. As you'll see from that drawing, the resource is indicated by the highlighted sections, green and brown. Yuli 2 could easily expand further to the south, the east, and to the west. There are offtake agreements in place at the moment by virtue of its joint venture arrangement with Sunlands, and there'll be more to come on that front over the coming months. The processing path for our products are relatively straightforward, involving a multi-stage polishing process, and I'll come to that in a later slide. Next slide, please. The project technicals and economics are stated here. Crusher feed is 500,000 tonnes, so relatively small. The graphitic carbon grade is almost 12%. The capex required for the project is approximately 80 million. And we deliver at the mine gate a production cost of $368 per tonne. Our current product price, or basket price ex works, is $9.19, so it's quite a healthy margin. But we expect the price to change. Obviously, the price of coarse flake graphite has increased significantly over the last 2 or 3 years. Next, please. Products. Yuli has always produced a high purity coarse flake, well over 96.5% and 97%. The recent work we did with our processing path has proven a product mix as shown in the table. Our medium to coarse and very coarse flake is over 97%, and we expect that to increase slightly in production. The production plan involves a multi-stage polishing process. It's in fact quite similar to what's been adopted elsewhere in the world, and we expect to achieve these results without too many difficulties. This particular product mix is obviously highly suited to the high-end refractory market, expandables, foils, and the thermal storage market. Next, please. This is the overview of extensions to the resource over the coming years. Clearly showed it's a multi-generation project. The short-term extensions to the reserve will occur by extending the Yuli 2 pit to the south, as well as to the east. Next slide, please. The company has a joint venture with Sunlands, which is involved in long-duration energy storage. That joint venture will involve Quantum and Sunlands coming together and manufacturing the actual thermal storage media to be inserted into storage cells that can be used to store thermal energy and ultimately drive steam turbine generators. The market for thermal energy storage is significant. It's projected to grow by many times, probably 8 to 20 times they expect over the next 8 to 10 years. It's a very long-term market, and the revenue streams, particularly in relation to some critical applications, are significant. One thing I should add is that the DFS for Yuli 2 does not include the impact of the joint venture on our financials. Next slide. The joint venture's critical application is the retrofitting of coal-fired power stations. I have some key metrics there which indicate the amount of graphite required for some of these cells. A good rule of thumb is you need 5 tonnes of flake, coarse flake, for a megawatt hour of storage. So you can immediately work it out that a substantial amount of flake is required to be used to retrofit existing coal-fired power stations. That is certainly a target for us. We are working with a number of industry players in that area today. And if any of you follow the electricity market, one of the things you'll clearly see is that the transition from coal-based load to renewables is keeping many people up at night. And we believe that quantum will be a major participant as that transition or transformation evolves. Thank you.
Thanks, Sal. Just a couple of questions here. Can you talk us through your kind of cash position and cash burn and things like that? Everyone in this space always likes to get some background in that regard.
Yeah, cash burn is at this stage driven entirely by our research program. So it's probably approximately a couple of million a year at this stage, maybe a little bit more. Okay. We'll probably go to the market again soon enough, but at this stage, our immediate needs are being met by the arrangements we have in place, including with Shimmery Capital. The R&D program is really critical because we consider that to be where the significant value add will occur, including, of course, in relation to the joint venture.
And so the global flake product that you have, has that been pre-qualified by European and North Asian manufacturers? Yeah,
it has. The previous management pre-qualified it with RHI, Magna Cedar and so on. We're one of the few that have achieved that, by the way. It's quite an achievement in one sense, but anyone that knows the history of the Uli product will know that it's a product that has been used in Europe over the years in various applications, mainly in refractories, but also other interesting applications.
So is the strategy to kind of get your product pre-qualified with other parties?
Our strategy is to build on our offtakes. Pre-qualification isn't the problem that is for other graphite companies. What we're interested in is building the plant, developing the project, and that means achieving some critical mass in our offtakes. I think once that occurs, we'll go immediately to develop the project. The geochemistry of this flake is quite special in the sense that it's a very clean product, and its processing it doesn't involve any of the complications you would associate with dealing with metals and so on in the ore body.
And given the quality of the product, can you demand a premium for what you're producing?
Yes, we can. The basket price, if you look at prices today, you would expect that our coarse flake, especially the top 50% of our product mix, it could easily be 50 to 60% above our basket price. So that would be conservative. So we would expect that. One thing I should say is that there isn't much coarse flake around at the moment. The Europeans still rely on China. China's coarse flake quantities are very small, and increasingly a lot of the technology in Europe is using a lot of synthetic material to achieve various outcomes. But in relation to foils, expandables, and so on, additional coarse flake in the market is pretty critical.
And how clean is the process for production compared to what's in the market from China, for example?
Yeah, it's chalk and cheese. Most of the market is fines material that sees its way into EV feedstock or into low-end refractories. It really can't do much more than that. This material can be used in applications, especially high-end refractories, which has now become really the domain of the Europeans. You can be used there, and it's quite distinctive. At the moment, there's a shortfall there, and one of the challenges that we're facing, and obviously COVID's got in the way, is trying to re-establish the agreements that previous management had put in place prior to it coming off the board.
And that previous management, they had the relationship with Sunland. Can you tell us a little bit more Sunland and how that works?
Yeah.
Partnership.
So Sunland's is a company that developed some long duration energy storage business, which means if you're going to transform the grid, basically decarbonise, you need long duration storage. So lithium-ion batteries, electrical batteries, basically all they do is prevent disaster happening, work short term, allow other facilities to come up, and so on. Long duration storage actually is there to promote, reliability and security of the system. And so around the world, there is, I can't even tell you how many, numerous tenders for long duration storage, because unless you can store renewables for significant periods of time, decarbonising will cause, I guess, the sort of problems we're seeing now in Germany, and what you're seeing with Nord Stream 2 really is a fallout of the closure of their coal and nuclear plants in 2019.